Well, welcome everyone to another episode of Heat Treat Radio. I'm your host, Doug Glenn, the founder and publisher of Heat Treat Today, of which Heat Treat Radio is just one of the many products that we offer. But today I have the great privilege of speaking with Steelhead Technologies CEO, Jeff Halonen. We're going to be talking with Jeff about his company's recent acquisition of two competitors in the commercial heat treating sector of our market. As many of you know, who know Heat Treat today, our primary market is not commercial heat treaters. It's an important sector, but it's about 15% roughly of our total circulation. The rest of it, most of the rest of it, is in the captive market. But we're going to be talking about this commercial market today, and it should be of special interest to anyone in that commercial heat treating market, especially if you are a current user of either Bluestreak product or a Visual Shop product, or of course, Steelhead Technologies product. So all of that will be interesting. So Jeff, welcome first off, and let's get started. If you don't mind, would you please give, again, very briefly, just about you and about Steelhead Technologies?
Yeah, and thanks for having me, Doug, and appreciate the differentiation between captive and commercial heat treaters. The commercial heat treaters, like I was just in one literally yesterday, and all the photos of all the product that are on the wall, it's just like anything that flies goes into space, data centers, computers, and that's so I think that commercial heat treaters find themselves in one of the most important seats in manufacturing because of the pace of iteration. If you think about it, like if you're doing like brake rotors and it's the same brake rotor for 40 years, you're going to bring that in house. It makes sense to buy the oven, but if you're changing your designs every 6 months, like is happening in space and data centers, et cetera, then commercial is the clear path. So, but anyways, an intro for myself. My name is Jeff Halonen. I'm a mechanical engineer. My career started at General Motors. Got into some heat treating, but it was super mild compared to what everyone gets into as in body structures. And there's a lot of thermal management components to assembling a vehicle. But anyways, I'm one of the co-founders of Steelhead, and we are a technology partner for job shops. So we serve commercial heat treaters, but also metal finishers, platers, powder coaters, NADCAP, wet paint, thermal spray, and also some fabrication as well. But generally, our customers have as low as 3 people, but typically it's 20 people to 300 people, somewhere in that range, where they're big enough to have a lot of problems, and then they're a job shop, right? So parts are coming in, phone calls, just high volume, go. These aren't $10,000 invoices, $20,000 invoices. They're smaller, right? They're a few $100, a few $1,000, and there's high volumes of them, and everyone's dealing with the problems of labor turnover and challenges with it's very nerve-wracking business. The revenue volatility for one is kind of extreme a lot of times, and your visibility and your control over that revenue volatility is not high. And there's ways you can diversify, but so anyways, we have a core philosophy that job shops are actually ideally suited to leverage technology to the hilt to compensate for all of this. It's almost like you're in an environment where the facts change every hour, every day. So this means that like knowing what's going on and making decisions quickly becomes all the more important. It's just like the F-35 fighter jets that have those goggles with all the quick stats. Why? Because in a dogfight, the faster you make decisions and have data, the better off you are. Whereas if you're just like canoeing across a lake, you don't really need a lot of real-time KPIs. So we're huge on technology. We work with job shops all day long, and that's what we do.
So how would you classify your product just briefly as a job shop? You're an ERP system, or how would you classify it? Just so for people that might not know.
We're all in one to the extent we can be. So ERP, financials, we have native accounting, MES, so manufacturing execution, your spec management, QMS, quality management, CRM, customer management, customer relations management, timesheet, payroll integration, maintenance, purchasing, receiving. What we found is that smaller businesses, they don't like to jump into 20 different softwares because you're shoveling data all over the place. Even something like purchasing, it's like, how is that related to maintenance? Well, because you had to replace a motor, and then you had to purchase the motor, and then you had to receive it, but it went to one of 4 buildings. You don't know where it's at, right? So there's actually the magic is in the connectivity of everything. And then if you put AI on top of your fully connected business, that's where the magic happens.
Yeah. So enterprise-wide, top to bottom sounds like, okay. All right. So the big news, Jeff, obviously that's been around is this acquisition that just recently took place. And that's what we want to talk about today. So first off, let's just get some facts down about the acquisition. When did it happen? There were 2 companies involved, correct? When did it happen?
Yeah. So, and there's a separate story in arc and strategy of how it made sense for all parties with both of them. The
And
timing
I
as far
do,
as them
and I
both
do want
happening
to, I
within,
do want to get to that. By the way, I want to get to
yeah,
the thing, but just want to give us okay, how long ago and what's the
yeah,
date time frame?
yeah. Just the timing. I think Blue Streak was a couple weeks ago, and then Visual Shop was maybe 3 or 4 weeks before that. The
Okay,
timing is relatively coincidental,
gotcha,
but it just happened. The conversations just happened to move in parallel. So
gotcha.
timing wise, there's no explicit link between the two, other than the fact that they both just kind of picked up steam
Yeah,
around the same time.
that's right. And let's also just list clearly the companies involved. If you want to give us a quick rundown of each of the companies now that they're under your umbrella, you'll know the elevator pitch for each.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Visual Shop is a Cornerstone Systems product out of Illinois. There, they've been around. They're essentially the pioneers in heat treat and metal finishing, as far as having a commercially off the shelf product available with support and service for heat treaters, and then yeah, and Blue Streak, Cornerstone or and Blue Streak out of Wisconsin. There, really similar. In terms of focus, but Blue Streak's a much more modern system,
Yeah.
cloud-based offering. Uh, Both companies have a huge disposition towards high service, which is something that we're really happy to see as we kind of bring the company together. Our number one core value is customer obsession, and we understand that it's not just software, right? If your business is completely static and you have like 10 people and it's just the same business for 20 years, like, okay, you don't need a ton of service, but most of these shops are growing, adding capabilities. And so that's a common ethos across the two of them. And then Visual Shop has about 150 enterprises on
Okay.
the software today, and Blue Streak has about 90.
Okay.
And
Okay. Yeah.
half of Visual Shop customers are commercial heat treaters, and 60% of Blue Streak are commercial heat treaters.
Okay.
So
And
yeah,
the
it's a
the other percentage that are not commercial treaters are outside the heat treat industry. It's still probably job shops, but outside the heat treat industry.
correct, highly tangential, right? The same parts are going from
Gotcha.
in and out of heat treaters to blasting
Okay.
shops to copper plating shops, etc. So it's typically metal finishing,
Okay.
the remainder.
So you had mentioned earlier about the arc of each, the timeline and the reasons for, and all of that. Again, based on our limited time, what can you tell us about the arc of each of those acquisitions?
Sure, I'll just take them kind of in order. With Visual Shop, I mean, again, it was launched in 1993, 1992, something like that.
Okay.
Really kind of hit a point where to continue improving essentially requires a complete rebuild,
Mm.
right? And just the position of the business and the financial position with Steelhead position or Visual Shop position itself as a very affordable product. It was the lowest cost product available for job shops, which was great. But the resultant of that was that there wasn't a lot of resources to invest in building the product and accelerating development. So like it's just at a point where it's like, hey, at a juncture where there's either a tremendous amount of investment, many millions of dollars to start from scratch, essentially on a brand new product,
Right.
or do we provide so as it kind of gets towards the end of life, all right, let's provide a structured a transition over to a more modern system where it's like, hey, there's definitive path. There's someone you can call. There's like a path. Obviously, there's many paths that every shop can take, but provides a smooth transition. And then the entire Visual Shop team is now part of Team Steelhead, so nothing changes for Visual Shop customers. They still call Visual Shop. It's the same product, the same service, but now there's a path for migration there. On the Blue Streak side, Blue Streak was actually growing. Blue Streak's a great product. It has great retention numbers, like 97% gross dollar retention, which is a common metric in software.
Yep.
Actually exceptional. So Blue Streak customers are loyal. They love the product. Todd and the rest of the Blue Streak team have built an incredible product for heat treating. Captures a lot of the nuance around specifications and certifications and oven compliance, like the blocking, tackling. That's one thing that we've come to appreciate over the years is, you can have kind of flashy, nice AI tools or whatever, but shops cannot focus on the upside, on the growth, unless the fundamentals of how they run the business are rocks. They feel that they're on rock solid concrete. It's like, well, if we can't create a certification, if Bell Helicopter calls us and asks for a documentation of something and we're not confident we can provide that, or if we're not confident in the accuracy of instruction provided to operators or our ability to process parts correctly, like we can't even focus on like the nice upside of technology. So all that to say, the partnership with Bluestreak is a really exciting one for Steelhead to be able to build just absolutely bulletproof heat treating technology. So Todd and our engineering team, the Steelhead engineering and product team are in close contact. And there's things that Bluestreak's built. It's on its 4th generation. It's been working with heat treaters for many, many years. So we're working very, very closely as a single team to provide all the features that Bluestreak has developed over the years that are great for heat treaters and pulling those into Steelhead, which so Bluestreak's a QMS and MES, and then Steelhead is the broader platform, including ERP, finance. Gotcha. We also have an ERP and MES, but there's they're more specialized on the heat treating. So it's a kind of integrating and combining, and all of that is to say, like, get a great rock solid foundation in place. Like doctors say, first do no harm, and then just stomp on the gas on the AI. Because once you have your entire business a single digital platform. I was just at a shop yesterday, large heat treater. You walk in the front office, there's 3 people doing invoicing, and it looks like 1997. And, hey, the machine works, right? And there were some profitability challenges that they were working to address, but broadly the business functions, and that's where it gets really exciting. It's like, okay, can we look at AI? Where everyone's in a margin compressed environment, everyone has costs, et cetera. So if you look at the overhead it takes to run your shop, and you can reduce that meaningfully by tens of percents, that goes straight to the bottom line. Now you can go buy those $3 million ovens that you love to buy. You can walk to the trade show with a little more swagger because you got a little extra net margin at the end of the day to invest back in the business instead of putting that into processing paperwork. So there's a ton. We have a couple of AI products out today, AI order entry and AI analytics to get your team. So you can literally like chat with your business, and it just have an AI agent that's like a CFO or a quality manager. So your team is spending time not digging through charts, but like solving the problems. And the exciting part is that's like the first of like 10, 12, 15 AI products on our roadmap. All that, none of that works unless you have a rock solid foundation in place. So that is the number one priority. And what we found is if we say, talk about all this AI fluff, it's like, that's fine. How can I do furnace calculations? How can I create that certification? What's my operator's experience can be? And you know what? They're right. They're absolutely correct. Focus on that. So we're taking the order of operations very seriously, but it's very exciting.
So 2 more questions, I think, on the acquisition itself. So why buy them as opposed to just compete them out of the market?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, with Visual Shop, and I'll take them separately because it is different for both of them. So with Visual Shop, the product works, right? The business operates. I will say that it's fairly common for us to meet with shops that have more challenged profitability running on that system. But that's like an invisible parasitic tax, right? But what they do see is A, it works, and B, it's low cost, like very low cost, like next to free, like absolutely rounding error. Right? You'll have businesses doing 20 million in revenue, spending $6,000. Like Like forget about Steelhead. I know we are a little more premium offering, and we like to bring the absolute best we can bring. But just even globally, as far as like what businesses pay for technology, it's a very low price. So the reason for that is there's a couple reasons why it makes sense. Once it's actually good for the customers because Visual Shop has its customer base has been coming down, right, and it's essentially in a position where there's not a lot of revenue, right. They had 150 customers. I'm happy to be transparent. I think there's a lot of business owners that are listening to this call, and they deserve the truth that and have to fight. Like they had like 1.2 million in revenue and about 150 customers. And it had been going down for about 4 years, right? So in that case, like we saw with DWAS, they did some heat treating. Like it just gets to a point where like there's just not good options, and those options are the timelines are really compressed, and it's like, oh, as of tomorrow, it's gone, like that. So that's the story there. But so in a lot of ways we've extended the timeline and increased the stability that's available there, and then also there's just the mental hurdles. Like it's very common. With the Visual Shop side, we've actually had many people send us like all caps emails saying like, thank you for buying Visual Shop. But it'd be like the lieutenants, like the quality manager, the production manager, the general manager. because they suffer.
Yeah,
They
I got
are
that.
the system, right? It's like their nights and weekends and their stress levels. That is the system.
Yeah,
But then sometimes you have a situation where the finance decision is, hey, this is a low cost system, it works, so therefore take no action. But they're
right.
not seeing that all the costs that are kind of hidden there. So that's where it makes a lot of sense. It kind of provides a stable path, but also a bit of an impetus
Gotcha.
for folks to reevaluate
Yeah,
kind of next generation or modern options. On Bluestreak side, there's the one thing I've been telling our team over and over again as we've gone into this is, because Steelhead's we've attracted a bit of investment. We are growing quite aggressively. I would say we're pushing the limits of what technology can do for job shops, and that's resulted in a lot of exciting growth. But the thing I've been pushing our team is humility, right? We need to, especially like commercial heat treating.
yeah,
There's a tremendous amount of nuance. Again, I was just in a shop yesterday, and
right.
there's you got the pushers, you got the vacuums, you got like everything under the sun. Like the vocabulary alone, it will humble you, right?
Yeah,
If you haven't been in that environment in a while. So the messaging to our team was like, hey, we need to approach this with humility, and that's where the Bluestreak partnership is exciting because it's different in Visual Shop in the sense that Bluestreak was growing and in a good spot profitability wise.
right.
Todd was looking at like, okay, like retirement options as well. So there was
Yeah,
some
yeah,
time dimensions there. Wasn't as acute as Visual Shop side again as far as like continuity plans for customers and creating predictability there. But the reason why the Bluestreak made sense is like, hey, we think heat treaters are critical portion of the manufacturing ecosystem. I like to say like the Strait of Hormuz, right? It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
you have all
right,
these oil
right.
tankers trying to get out to the open sea, like all the fab shops,
Yeah,
the space launches. I think are going from like 110 space launches a year to like 220. I just heard, so they're literally doubling space launches
yeah,
from 2025 to 2026 to 2027. And then you have all these startups like Hadrian. Oh, we're gonna onshore. We're going to triple missile production. And it's like, okay, that's great. Like you have 500 oil tankers here, but now it's got to get through
yeah,
this, right?
yeah,
And that's commercial heat treating. It's others. It's anodizing, it's plating, and there's others.
right,
But heat treating is certainly a part of that
right.
constriction. If you look at the manufacturing picture, so that's where we felt it made
Okay.
a ton of sense was to combine Bluestreak's just rock solid understanding of the blocking and tackling. This is how you run a heat treating shop reliably. This is how you pass your NADCAP audits every time, but then incorporating the larger business platform to try to boost the margin and growth opportunity, and then get on the offense, right? Bluestreak's been, the product's been, the progress has been slowing over the last several years. Todd
Right.
would tell you that. So we actually think there's an opportunity to step on the gas in terms of what technology can deliver. So that's where that partnership makes sense. It really puts us in a position to have a bulletproof offering. Like I'm not kidding. It's like, here's the source code for Bluestreak. Here's the source code for Steelhead. Here's the developers that made both of them working together
Yeah,
to make sure that we're putting the absolute best product
yeah.
in the hands
Good.
of Heat.
So one other last question about just the acquisition itself. Then I want to move on to a couple other topics here, but and you can be brief on this one if you'd like. You don't need to go into a lot of detail on it, but uh, a lot of people are going to wonder, where did the money come from? I mean, was this all
Yeah.
you mentioned earlier? You guys are investment. Was it investment capital? What
Yeah.
was it?
Yeah, this is another thing. I'm a very transparent guy, Doug. If you want to shadow me for a week and watch me eat breakfast here, you're welcome to. I do get up early, so I will warn you.
Yeah,
But and then we've put a lot of press releases out over the years. So if you went and
sure.
read them all, like, it's pretty much all out there.
Yeah.
I'm one of 6 co-founders of the company. We bootstrapped it for a year. I'm an ex-automotive engineer out of Michigan. We did get to a point where it's like, okay, if we want to grow this to what it can be, we just got to feed the family, beans and rice. So we pursued venture capital. So for the first 4 years, we were venture backed. Venture is a very aggressive type of investor. There's a lot to read about there. They do serve a great role in society, by the way.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot of people that would give $2.5 million to a guy with a PDF that's hollering at a webcam saying, we're going to go do this thing.
Yeah.
They have some downsides. But anyways, last November, we actually transitioned where we had 4 venture capitalists on the as part of the company. We're down to 1 now. And then a growth equity capital, growth equity firm stepped in. That's Mainsail. They have like 30 ERPs in their portfolio. This is what they do all day long. It was an $84 million investment that they made. And a part of that was relieving the venture capitalists of their seat at the table, essentially. And a part of it was operating capital to invest in growth. That's what it's right in the name, growth capital.
Right.
And I've had shops ask me, like, what are their intentions? What are they hoping to do with it? Right. And that's a rock solid question. But growth equity is a variant of private equity. They are looking for a financial outcome, 5 years out on the horizon. However, ask yourself, what leads to that outcome, right? Like this is capitalism, and just like every commercial heat treater in the business in the world, right? If you provide a great product to your customer on time, like, okay, you have a financial outcome, right? So it just almost doesn't exist a world where there's like a misalignment of incentives, like specifically. And here's like the absolute, like, this is what I always tell people all the time. If Mainsail is looking for a return on their investment 5 years from now, the next financial sponsor, whoever it is, will be looking at one number first and foremost, and that's retention, gross retention. Yeah. So we're at ERP. We have 1 year contracts with our customers. That's a very modest contract length in the ERP land. That means that our customers can choose a different path every single year, right? So if we aren't retaining customers, then we're also not the cheapest, right? So like every year, customers have to say, Steelhead's still worth it. It's still worth it. It's still worth it. So that puts an immense onus on us to deliver. And so the only path for us to succeed and to provide a successful outcome for the financial sponsors, which, by the way, are sponsoring, are financing a ton of development, R&D, many millions of dollars of development going into heat treating, right? So like, there's a lot of positivity here for everyone, right? It's like, yeah, Apple made a few bucks, but hey, I got this incredible piece of technology, this iPhone here. So I like to say there's a ton of alignment here, and retention of customers is number one. And the only way we can retain customers is to provide just unbelievable value year after year. Yeah. If we aren't improving their margins, if we aren't helping them grow, then it's gonna be tough sledding for us. So that's what we look towards every day. That's why customer obsessions are number one core value. It's really the only path forward.
All right. Yeah, I did want to talk about customers too, because I've heard a couple of different things just in talking with some people in the industry about the recent activity here. So will Cornerstone customers and Bluestreak customers be impacted essentially the same? I've heard, and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because you know how the rumor mill is. I've heard that basically Cornerstone customers are essentially going to have to abandon their system, more or less, okay? But that Bluestreak customers will be able to maintain essentially all of what they've got. What can you tell us about how it's going to impact each of those two different clientele?
Yeah, so there's some parts that are same on both. The first is that, within the product portfolio now, so we have Steelhead, Bluestreak, Visual Shop, all under the Steelhead umbrella, all proactive R&D investment in technology is going into the Steelhead platform. We've already invested millions of dollars into heat treat technology in the Steelhead platform. The architecture is very modern. It's very advanced. The platform will actually have a FedRAMP moderate equivalent version available in early next year. We're targeting January of next year, which means if you're CMMC, it's extremely easy just to switch to the FedRAMP cloud product. So your burden of becoming CMMC level 2 goes away. So that's kind of the first thing that you should consider, is that out of three products, all new R&D, all the AI products will be invested into Steelhead. However, we also want to make sure there's a business continuity for all the shops using the Visual Shop and Bluestreak product, right? All Visual Shop and Bluestreak customers are Steelhead customers. Customer sessions number one priority. So for Visual Shop, right now nothing changes. You have the same product, called the same exact team. There's no change at all. However, we're targeting end of 2027 for end of life on Visual Shop. There are a lot of customers out there. A lot of Visual Shop customers have perpetual licenses, meaning they've been using it for free, essentially unsupported into perpetuity. So there's quite a few shops that have been doing that already for a long time. So it's actually there's a few that are on subscription, but the vast majority are on perpetual, which means it's support, right? It's the ability to pick up the phone and make a phone call, not like, hey, I have access to the software, and the software just went away the next day. But we are targeting end of 2027 for Visual Shop. For Bluestreak, that timeline is extended beyond that. But the same, all new R&Ds is going into the Steelhead product. Then the functionality that customers know and love inside of Bluestreak is being invested into the Bluestreak product, and that timeline's out into 2028 on end of life.
Okay. And maybe you don't want to answer this question. I'm anticipating you won't want to answer, but let me ask it anyhow. I guess you alluded to it earlier, substantial cost differential, I assume, between what you guys will be charging
Yep.
Cornerstone customers, what they were paying, what they are paying, etc.
Yep.
Comment on that at all?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to address this question. Again, the high levels of transparency, and folks can call my cell phone, shoot me an email as well if they'd like to have a philosophical conversation around it. And we're not always a fit for everyone, but again, Visual Shop, the prices were, I just can't stress it enough. Like if you go out there and just say, okay, well, I'm not going to buy Steelhead, I'm going to go buy some other software. Like, you will not find another Visual Shop price. And ultimately that did contribute to the outcome, if I could be so blunt. So there will be a significant jump there. On the Visual Shop side. What we've found, though, Doug, is that if you look at the cost of operating your business on Visual Shop, not just the dollars you pay for Visual Shop, you actually see a cost reduction in Steelhead. So Steelhead is actually cheaper than running Visual Shop almost every time. However, it requires you to say, okay, I'm going to count the 3 people doing order entry. I'm going to count the 2 people doing invoicing. I'm going to actually say, like, this is a real cost of running Visual Shop. I'm going to count the whiteboard. I'm going to count the walking around. So there's a pretty big price jump there. Also, you benefit from the technology, all the AI tools. We just released 2 AI tools in the last couple of months, right? So ultimately, it is a shift of saying, hey, I believe in technology. I believe technology can help drive my business, versus saying, I just need a system to do packing slips and invoices, and it should be as close to $0 as possible. And I don't care about it getting better. And like, I don't think AI applies to my business, right? And that's some shop that is the mentality. That's fine. But there's a pretty but the reality is it possible for us economically to provide the level of service. We're on site all the time. I was on site yesterday. We're on airplanes all the time out of Detroit, Minnesota, Texas, California, Pennsylvania, et cetera. Because what we found is it's not just like, oh, here's a bunch of software, figure it out, right? It's here's software, and then here's also here's help to get it launched, help to get it adopted. Here's the new tool we just released last week, and here's how it can help you guys. And that's very much a symbiotic relationship. We specialize in the ERP and the technology on the change management side. Our customers specialize on their business, and each business is different. So they're teaching us, hey, this is how our business works. This is the requirements we have. And we're saying, okay, this is how we can use our technology to achieve that outcome. On Bluestreak, it's similar. The gap is much smaller. So it's Bluestreak is directionally towards Visual Shop, towards the Steelhead pricing, but there's still a gap there from Bluestreak to Steelhead, and the the gap there is there are some on the efficiency side to be gained to close that, but it's more, again, like really leaning into the leveraging technology for your business. And then also it's also like, well, what are you paying for accounting software? What are you using for ERP? How are you running all these other ancillary systems surrounding your MES, QMS? So it's essentially an expansion of the footprint as well, which offsets a lot of the cost. So there's efficiency gain there. Then there's also access to the entire AI investment and much more modern product.
Okay, we're running up against our time, so let me ask you 2 more questions, and you can answer them as thoroughly or shortly as you would like. First one is just the impact. So we talked about what the transaction was. We talked about the impact on customers, impact on Steelhead, real quickly. I had several questions, but I just want to ask you one for sure. I'm assuming that there's, you've substantially increased the number of customers and therefore the need for customer support. What type of changes are being made inside of Steelhead to meet that, the number of phone calls coming in, the number of emails coming in, things of that sort?
Yeah, great question, Doug. Super fair. The just rough numbers, just so people can conceptualize them. Steelhead has maybe like 310 customers proper on Steelhead, and then Visual Shop's another 150, and then Bluestreak's another 90. So it's around the 550 number there. And last year, 2025, we successfully deployed, I think, 95 accounts, meaning like completed the handoff. They're in support. They're steady state. There's obviously always continuous improvement, but like the surgery's done. They're running completely flat out. The growth has continued to accelerate since then. I don't know what the number's going to be this year, but it'll be. I wouldn't be surprised if it got closer to double that. The Steelhead team, we have maybe 120 folks on the Steelhead proper team, and then there's, like I mentioned, the Visual Shop and Bluestreak support is unchanged. It's still there. There's roughly 8 and 9 folks on the Visual Shop and Bluestreak teams, respectively. Not only supporting the continued use of Visual Shop and Bluestreak products, but then during any integration, or if you do choose to essentially upgrade to Steelhead product, you now have an opportunity where both vendors are working they're the same vendor, right? So migrating data, things like that. So Steelhead's investing a tremendous amount in automation because, again, we have access to database structure on both sides. We have access to source code on both sides. We have access to engineering on both sides. So the data you have in Visual Shop, the data you have in Bluestreak can be mapped over at a much more efficient and in a much more granular manner than otherwise would be. And then also we are growing our team. So if you're listening and we are heavy in office. We're big on an in-office culture. We're not like the San Fran fluffy,
the remotes
type companies. We don't. We're Midwest type folk. So if you're in Detroit or Minneapolis, although we are looking to open offices in Chicago and Texas, we are huge believers in office presence. Shoot us a note. We have a career page on our website. But so we have a fairly substantially staffed team, and there's some healthy growth going on there.
Good.
And then also, Doug, if we're in a position where we're not 100% confident that it's going to be successful for our customer, we're going to use the calendar to our advantage and make sure we're not over scheduling or overburdening to a point that's detrimental to the customer. Right? When we look at a customer, we look at a partnership. 10 years, 15 years is our ideal case scenario. And to rush start a project when we're not ready to capacitize it to save a couple of months, a couple of weeks or something like that is just not smart. Very short-sighted, and we seek to avoid that.
All right, one last question for you. A couple parts, but it's one question. I'm assuming one of the advantages of doing this radio interview is you can send out a main message. You can send out the message that you want. What message would you like to communicate to current customers of Steelhead, of course, Cornerstone, and Bluestreak? That's part A. Okay, yes. So current customers, what message do you want to give? Secondly, what message do you want to give to the untapped market, the guys that you don't have right now that are out there that potentially that you might like to reach?
Sure. So the message that applies to, if I could go in the reverse order, the message that applies to all job shops that we serve. And again, we're very specific. Like, we don't serve injection mold job shops. We don't serve machining job shops. There's a lot of job shops we don't serve because we understand that the nuance and the depth and detail matters. Yeah. So serving like heat treating, as an example, was not like a whim, right? It's a very intentional move, but the message is very simple. I would say investment. Steelhead has historically invested a ton into technology for job shops, and these acquisitions represent another very material investment. And I would say they would only make sense if you planned to continue investing. So I would say, as you pay attention to the news and you see AI every other headline, Iran headline, Russia AI, right? Yeah. The same old cycle. And you sit back and be like, okay, what am I going to do about AI? Because we use AI a lot internally, and what we found is if you just go buy a bunch of random softwares and you try to like patch AI on top of everything, it's okay. Help me plan the picnic for the weekend. Help me read this spec. Help me. Yeah. So you can do like these one-off little errands. Like, it's fine. But everyone's going to do that. So you're going to get like 5 or 10% more efficient by using AI in like a one-off a la carte method. But to truly leverage AI, which equates to like a new material is out that's like 90% cheaper or like 40 times stronger. Like, to truly leverage it, you have to like bake it into the bones of your business, into the operating system of your business. Yeah. So that's what we're really excited to continue investing in. And one fear that like job shops might have is like, how do I leverage this AI? There's this new superpower that's out there, and it's tough just to be there like on your own and just bolt it all together yourself. It's actually quite complex to leverage it to its maximum. Sure. However, so what we're looking to provide to job shops is a turnkey product service, like something that literally comes on site, helps your operators adopt the system, configured just to your industry, but then bolt a ton of AI on top of it. And it's got your finance, your inventory, your certifications, your operator training, your scheduling, everything in one, and then bolt AI on top of it. Our mission is that job shops in the United States of America have technology that puts them actually at the front. Like, we want these job shops to be some of the most profitable manufacturers in the United States of America, because you go look at your customers. If you're a job shop, go look at your biggest customer with 12,000 employees, 2,000 employees. Like, good luck. They're never gonna, like, they will change, but they're going to move so slowly. So you're going to wake up someday. Our vision is that you look around and you're like, I have like the best setup on the planet. I'm actually way ahead of all my peers in terms of leveraging technology. We want to make that super easy. So we view ourselves as a technology partner on that, and that's where we're focusing on. So again, a key takeaway is investment in technology, and this is emblematic of us doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on investing and being the absolute best technology partner we can for and the same for our customers, right? If you're an existing Steelhead customer, right? Again, same thing, right? We're on the gas, and we're really excited to be the best technology partner we can be.
Super. All right, Jeff, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Anything we can do to be helpful to you guys, let us know, but appreciate your time.
Excellent. Thank you, Doug, and thank you everything that you guys do as well. Appreciate it.
Thanks. So I want to thank Jeff Halonen for his time today. Appreciate him being with us and sharing a bit about the acquisition recently of the two of his competitors. Very interesting episode. Would like to get your feedback, listeners. If you enjoy what you hear on this and or any other episode of Heat Treat Radio, it would be super helpful if you put some sort of a review, 5-star reviews only. We only like the top ones, please. If you don't like what you hear, then just don't do anything. That would be great, but 5-star reviews would be super if you can. If you'd like to contact Jeff and ask him questions, feel free to send an email to me and I'll put you in touch with him. My email address is doug@heattreattoday.com. I'll be glad to get you in touch with Jeff. If you have an idea for any future topics that you'd like to hear on Heat Treat Radio, please feel free to send those also to my email address, doug@heattreattoday.com. Send those emails there with any future ideas. And as always, this and every other episode of Heat Treat Radio is the exclusive property of Heat Treat Today and may not be reproduced in part or in whole without advance prior written permission from Heat Treat Today. Hope to see you again in a future episode of Heat Treat Radio. Good day.